RJ, they're going to talk about Bela Lugosi. They're going to talk about Lon Chaney Jr. He'd be so sad holding his hat saying, please put me in this room and don't unlock the door. And you can't do any better than the Dahl brothers. Jack and Ryan, they're brothers, but they're also bros. What? Pardon? Wrestling. Well, who the hell wants to talk about wrestling? These are horror movies. It's a deep genre. It's a smart genre. Fantastic actors. Fantastic cinematography. Wrestling is just sweating and fireworks and bouncy ropes. There's nothing. How can you talk about that every week? All right. Let's see them try. Take it away, you crazy dolls.
You. Jesus, fuck my fucking ass. What the fuck? Please shut up.
No. Master Watto is a
shut
champion.
up.
You're gonna put some
Stop
respect on his
fucking
name
saying
now.
Master Watto on this fucking show.
IWGP Junior Heavyweight Co-Champion.
What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Apple Fightful here. You're watching the MonsterCast with Jack and Ryan. A big shout out to those fellas. Good people. Check them out.
Oh my god, what is this?
It
Who
looks
is
like a
making
TV.
the New Japan titles? They need to stop
It
making
looked like
titles.
a TV, bro. They took it too literally. That's the problem.
They should have just turned it into a TV. I would have been more impressed.
That would have been cooler.
Put some
Make
antennas
it-
on the top.
No, just make it like a digital title. Like you could display whatever you want on the
Oh,
digital.
like an
title.
LCD screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then have
That'd
the
be sick as
picture
fuck.
of the person that's the champ. That'd be so good.
Oh fuck.
That'd be worth it.
Wrestling podcast. How fucking original.
Jake and Brian. Brandon Cutler here from AEW, and I hope you guys have an awesome podcast with the MonsterCast. What was that? Your name is Jack and Ryan? Shut up, Jack and Ryan.
Tell me who you would sign first.
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
No, not overall, genius. Between the two goddamn examples I'm about to give you.
Master Watto.
Killer Cross or Dominic Dijakovic, who are you signing first?
Killer Cross. 100%.
What the fuck?
Absolutely.
Wrong! That
No,
answer is
I would.
wrong.
I would.
Oh
Killer Cross.
my god.
You don't know shit! Your opinions suck!
I guess I mean, you're welcome.
Fuck,
See,
I'll boo it.
I don't think I've ever said boo.
I will.
That's so stupid.
I'll do it. Boo! Boo! You can't. Don't actually say the word because that's why it sounds weird. You gotta. It's like more like a note. Boo! You don't fucking actually say boo. Boo! 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 You don't turn it into a fucking chant. You actually have to.
I will. I'm gonna do that at Forbidden Doors.
Just start a boo chant. Boo! 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 Boo!
Here's your hosts of the MonsterCast, the Straight Edge Monster Jack and Ryan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MonsterCast. I'm your host, the Straight Edge Monster Jack. That's Ryan Rockwell, and we've got a big Dynasty review show for you today. Everything else will be pushed back, obviously, till Sunday. Anything that happens, really, this is the week right here, anyway. So, like, let's be real. Before we get started, let's go ahead and hit you up with who won predictions. We only picked one different match, and Julia Hart did not come through for me, and she wasn't the only one crying after the show. Let's just put it that way. So Ryan went 12-0, undefeated. I believe this is only his second undefeated thing since we've been doing predictions, by the way.
Goddamn
pretty
right.
impressive with 12 matches. I went 11-1, so not that impressive, and I have gone undefeated multiple times. I'm just throwing that out there. We are now currently tied in the year 2024, so no title for me, no title for him. It's vacated at this moment, like the tag team ladder match. We are both 34-12 on the year. However, I do hold still slightly the confidence picks. Luckily for me,
Yes.
the Julia Hart match, I was the least confident in, so I only put 1 point on it. So thank God for that. The total confidence picks was
that was a good call,
55.
though.
55 for you, 54 for me. So overall,
Just, honestly, strategically, it just makes, if that's the one that we picked different, it would have made sense for both of us to make that our number one or
the
our
issue
lowest confidence.
isn't even the fact that I made it number one or whatever, right? The issue is that when I did the prediction show, I was coming off like I was super fucking confident, and then picked it at number one when I was done. Because I mean, I wanted Willow to win, but I just don't want her to win it and then turn around and drop it at fucking Double or Nothing. So that's why I went with Julia, because I'd rather Julia win it, then drop it to Mercedes, then Mercedes and Willow can do their thing. I understand the concept of what they're doing. I just don't think it's fair to Willow, because I do think that Mercedes is going to beat her at Double or Nothing. Especially if that ends up being literally her first match in AEW. Now, if they have some kind of tag team bullshit with her and Willow and Stat versus, Sky Blue, Julia Hart, and somebody else or some shit like that on the way there for a tune-up match or something, and the dissension between Mercedes and Willow grows, or, some shit like that on a Dynamite or a Collision or something before, then okay. Then maybe Mercedes doesn't win. But if that's legit her first match, I don't see how Tony Khan is not going to let her win the TBS title.
I mean, they do seem to be leaning heel with her, so you could, I guess you could do a tag thing. I don't know. Putting her with Julia and Sky doesn't make any sense to me, but they'll figure something out.
No, I would say Mercedes and Willow versus Sky and Julia.
Oh, and you do like a breakup thing after that?
Well, not even a breakup thing, just like, can they coexist? They do it all the time in wrestling.
Yeah,
we know they're going to wrestle each other, but can they coexist type deal because of the respect or whatever? But she doesn't really trust her, but Willow doesn't really trust her, shit like that.
They do it all the time. But look, the way that they're positioning Mercedes right now with her coming out afterward and basically stealing Willow's spotlight and all that shit, they're clearly trying to push her as a heel. Like they're making her the bad guy in this situation. So I don't know, man. I guess we'll see. But like I don't know that she does just win. She might lose. She might lose and then turn heel fully, and then start angling for another shot or something. Who knows?
Well, that'll be interesting. So I did bet on the pay-per-view last night. And since I didn't bet on the Julia Hart match, you can go ahead and guarantee yourself that I won every single bet. I only made 4 bets. I've spent $50 so that I can make $4.43, baby. Let's go. I am now $54.43 up.
The odds on that shit were like so
bad, dude.
Except for the House of Black.
I honestly should have done it weeks ago, honestly, but I wasn't really thinking about it. And then I probably wouldn't have got them all right weeks ago either, because a lot of wrestling, you have to watch up till the go home show, because usually whoever gets the upper hand on the go home show is not winning at the pay-per-view type deal. That happens way more often than not. So yeah, I mean, I could have done it weeks ago where the odds weren't as crazy and that you didn't have to bet so much to make so little. Or in my case, I'm wearing the Malachi Black shirt today. We both picked House of Black. They were the only underdog that I felt confident in, like, putting money on. And then when I went to go put the money on it, it said me the minimum bet was $250. And I was like, well, I'm not spending $250 on an underdog. It's not like, I just threw 50 on there to have some fun. I don't have $250 just to go piss away real quick in case fucking Adam Copeland fucking pulls this bullshit out and then pisses me the fuck off. And then I'm not going to be able to watch the rest of the pay-per-view. Usually I don't bet. This is only my second time betting on an AEW pay-per-view. The other one was in the one with the Young Bucks. The one where Ruby Soho won the Casino Battle Royale and the Young Bucks lost to the Lucha Brothers for the tag titles in the steel cage match. That was the only other pay-per-view I've ever bet on. Only other wrestling I've ever bet on. Made a lot more money that night, even though I lost the Lucha Brothers match, because I won the other 2 or 3, and I made a lot of money on that night. But this one, it was like the odds were so bad, dude. So bad.
Yeah, it was like 6,000.
But I had already deposited the money, and you can't just take the money back out. So, like, you have to bet the money. And I'm sitting there like, well, fuck. Well, I might as well go ahead and just do it then.
Well, they have like a wager requirement or something?
It's the same company that did it last time when I had to convert them over to you.
Oh, okay.
I also made a lot of money when I bet on the Bengals to beat the Chiefs randomly, because I was like, I'll just throw this money on the Bengals real quick in the playoffs. They probably won't win, but it's whatever. If they do end up winning, I'll make a decent chunk of change, and then they ended up winning, and I was able to catch out through the conversion or whatever. But I think it's Bitcoin conversion or some shit. I don't fucking remember what we did it through. But yeah, it's the same company because it's like the only one of the very few companies that actually let you bet on wrestling. So, which makes sense because it's a predetermined thing. Like even the DraftKings stuff that they always partner with and shit like that, the DraftKings and all that. That's not really, you're not really betting on the matches through DraftKings. It's just a fucking pool to win money, and then the money that you win, it's a very small amount, and then it's like you only win it on their app or whatever the fuck through their system. So then you have to deposit more money to like it's just a way to suck you in basically to start betting on shit.
One of the casino sites that I had played slots and cards and shit on, they have a US site where instead of depositing shit directly, you buy their currency on the site and then you convert that back and forth. It's something to do with US regulations, but I just use a VPN and play like I'm from fucking Germany.
I mean the site that I'm using is legit. It's been around for over 25 years. So it's not like I'm worried about anything like that. It's just the way they do it is kind of weird because it's an international thing. But the but then of course I get mad but not like as mad, and it's more of a happy mad when House of Black does win because I didn't bet on it. I'm like, damn, I should have bet on it. But I knew I wasn't going to bet on it. I'm not throwing $250 because if they didn't win, I'd be not happy mad. I'd be fucking depressed mad and be like, I don't want to watch the rest of this pay-per-view. I'm going to turn this shit off. Like, because no one should be betting like this. We said this on the show before. No one should be betting anything that they can't afford to lose. So that's why I only deposited $50.
It to me earlier because I would have thrown $250 on it. I think I just didn't have time to go figure it all out by the time you had mentioned it.
No, I mean it was double. It was pretty much double. So like when I went to go throw the 50 on there because I was just going to throw all 50 on House of Black and not split it up into 4 fucking different matches. And so I went to go throw it on House of Black and said your winnings were going to be 53 something. It was good odds or whatever. Like I was going to win basically double the money. So. A little bit more than that actually. But then it said I went to go make the bet and hit confirm or whatever. It said no, there's a minimum of 250. I was like, go fuck yourself, dude. Because I would have bet. I had no problem losing
different minimums based on what the match is. That's weird.
I thought it was weird that the minimum was 250 for the one overdog or the underdog fight that I was gonna go for when everybody else was fucking like minimum like for the instance the Okada one, which I didn't end up betting on because like the minimum was I think the minimum was 50 or some shit on Okada or whatever, but you weren't winning anything, and I'm like, well, that's fucking dumb.
He was like plus 6,000 or something.
Like, why are you making you're minimally making me pay 250 for an underdog? That's insane to me. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
it should be the other way around. Like, no, if you want to bet on Okada, yeah, you're gonna win some money, but you need to bet a lot of money because the odds are insane for Okada right now. It's almost like they did it backwards for the House of Black match. I was not happy because I really wanted to bet the 50 on House of Black. But we both felt very confident in that one.
Yeah, it just made the most sense to have single titles programs coming out of that. So you have whoever take the loss, and then you break that out into Malachi versus Copeland and probably Kingston versus Brody again because they had their match already. I think they had a match during the Continental Classic, didn't they? They would have had to, right? Because it was round robin. I think they were in the same thing. The same bracket.
I don't know. The only thing I don't like is the even winning the $4.43 that I won by betting $50, right? So even if I lost one of those matches, and by the way, the Tony Storm one, it got me. I thought I was going to lose that for a second. I was like, no. But I ended up winning all 4 or whatever. Like, this still isn't even enough to buy Double or Nothing with the taxes. So, like, I didn't do anything. I couldn't even win the tax back on the pay-per-view for the next pay-per-view.
I get mine through Fight TV. So they had a bundle. It was like this one, I think Double or Nothing, and then Forbidden Door, all for $50. But I'm going to Forbidden Doors, so I didn't get the bundle. But I paid, I think, $20 for this one. So just get a VPN.
Oh, that's the VPN thing too?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I paid $50 for it through.
Get a VPN. Say you're in the UK or Germany or whatever the fuck. It's legit like $20.
All right, let's talk about the show. Let's do this.
All right.
So 1 point advantage for Ryan, obviously, and then the 1 match advantage so that he ties me overall for overall records, and he's now 5 points behind on confidence picks. Let's just go ahead and start with 0 Hour. Trent winning Orange Cassidy and Shibata winning, and Bullet Club Gold winning. Let's talk about those.
I don't
Anything
think
stood
any
out for you?
none of those were a surprise. I am not a. Why do they keep booking Billy Gunn like he's fucking invincible? They book this man like he's Lesnar. Like the amount of finishers and bullshit it took to just pin him was kind of weird to me. But there was no match here where we were surprised by the result. I don't think because we didn't even pick the Trent Seidel one because it was announced after we did the prediction show. But I think I even texted you. I was like, "Yeah, we're both picking Trent, obviously, right?" And then, yeah, there was nothing surprising on this. Nothing really stood out. The You know what? Actually, something did stand out a little bit. Why the fuck would you have the trios match unifying both sets of trios titles on 0 Hour, and then put the FTW match on the main card? FTW is not even a real fucking title. That made no sense to me. I would have switched those around. But other than that, no, everything was fine.
Yeah, a lot of people had that issue actually. I agreed to an extent because like even at All In, the FTW title was on the 0 Hour with Jack Perry and Hook. So if you're going to unify two sets of actual titles that are recognized into one, that makes it even a little bit more sus. Plus, I the only thing I think it was honestly, and you can obviously counteract with, oh well, they had a lot of singles matches on there, so that doesn't really make any sense. Is that they already had a trios match on the main show?
For no title.
Yeah, I
Just
understand that. So,
switch
would you have
those
been
around
okay if
then.
they would have put the House of Black match on the 0 Hour
Yeah, that would have been fine.
instead of the trios unification?
Yeah, because all of those are building to lower card singles titles matches, right? With the Malachi Copeland pairing, and then probably Brody Kingston, and you probably doing the Ring of Honor World with Buddy and Briscoe, which Briscoe will probably win. But yeah, that breaks out neatly into 3 little singles programs. You throw that on 0 Hour, and then you have your actual trios titles on the main fucking card. That's crazy to me that they have that on 0 Hour. So
All right, so do we think? All right, let's just throw this out there because I mean it's a Dynasty review, and it did happen technically on Dynasty with the 0 Hour. Do we think that Chuck turns on Orange Cassidy on Wednesday?
they're playing it so slow that it feels like that's if he was just gonna go with Cassidy, it feels like they would have just said that already and done that already. And I think Trent doesn't have like a real direction in any of the singles pictures right now. But if you turn Chuck, you can throw them back in the tag team division, which kind of needs more people right now. So yeah, I think he probably turns.
All right, that's 0 Hour. I'm happy Bullet Club Gold won. I thought that made the most sense because usually, like we said on the show, on the prediction show, the people holding the fucking lesser title are usually the ones that are going to win the match because it's an actual step up for them, where it would be a step down the other way around. So it doesn't really make any sense for the AEW Trios champions to now hold or even want to hold the Ring of Honor 6-man titles because what would they do with them? You know what I'm saying? Like they're not
Right.
going to go to Ring of Honor. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with the Acclaim from here too, because they were one of the hottest acts in AEW for the past couple of years. And I don't think they've really slowed down any. I think the only reason that they've slowed down at all is just because they haven't been defending the titles. It hasn't necessarily been their overness. Their overness has been fine. It's just
People
that they
kind
never
of-
were wrestling. Why weren't they fucking defending these titles is my question.
People have soured a bit on Caster, actually, but
That's more of a social media thing than it is a live thing.
people at the shows are on social media, so
Yeah, but that's not. It's not this. You act like it's the same level as Jericho. It's not.
I didn't act like anything. I just said they soured on him,
Then I disagree.
which is true.
I disagree.
I never said it's the same level as Jericho. So, no, they have, and it'd probably do them some good to be away for a little bit. I think they have to get out of trios too. They have to go back to being a tag, like a proper 2-man tag. I don't know what you do with Billy Gunn from there, but
You just put Billy Gunn back
I-
to what he was before, the manager. It's not that serious.
well, I know Osprey wants to retire him, so
Yeah.
maybe
Well, unless he's plans on bringing back the fucking 91 driver or whatever the fuck, he ain't gonna retire Billy Gunn. So
Yeah, well, we'll see.
all right, main card. Let's talk about it. House of Black. Like I said, I'm rocking the shirt. The Malachi Black shirt was pulling hard for them. They needed a win. I think if they would have lost this, I would have felt even more disappointed, not in Tony Khan per se, but probably Malachi and Buddy Matthews, who, like, the rumors have been going back and forth like every other week that, oh, they're just going to run out their contract and go back to WWE, which might be the case, but I don't want to hear about that shit every week. So for them to be positioned the way they are, I'm cool with that. Like, just same thing with Andrade and Miro. Andrade, we all had a feeling that Andrade was going to go back to WWE because Charlotte's over there, and Charlotte's definitely not leaving WWE. So, but it's not like they fucking buried Andrade on the way out either. He was in the fucking C2. He was getting dubs in the C2. So it was no big deal. As far as that goes, like, they didn't make him look weak. They didn't make him lose to, Marco Stunt or some shit like that, like, on the way out, like a lot of other companies do to people, where, like, Dean Ambrose would lose to EC3 on his way out. Stupid shit like that. Just so you can turn around and fire EC3 anyway a couple months later. So, like, I really appreciate that Tony Khan gave them the dub here and put them over. Because, yes, they do need it going forward to have a legitimate shot of the fans thinking that they might beat Mark Briscoe or Eddie Kingston or Adam Copeland in a singles match for one of those titles. Even though they probably won't, it would be nice to see Malachi with a singles title in AEW. But
do you think they keep the mist turns you bad shit since Edge just got misted in the face? That's how Julia turned. That's how Sky turned. That's how So it's got precedent. Do they do that with Copeland?
I mean, I don't know if they do that with Copeland or not. I don't have a problem if they do per se. It's not that serious to me. Sorry about that.
He just becomes a vampire.
This goes back to the black circles around his eyes, like he's wearing the mask. Yeah, fuck it. Give the little swerve treatment. I don't fucking know what they do with him. He can do whatever he wants, honestly. It's Adam Copeland. His legacy is set in stone. If it's dumb, I feel like if the feedback is big enough that it's dumb and the fans don't like it, he's just gonna drop it anyway. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like he can't just turn around and be like, okay, I'm normal again or whatever.
It's finally time for him to wear the puffy shirt.
Yeah, you think so? Back to the puffy shirts, huh?
Yeah,
and the purple pants.
And then it's Christian Cage that comes out and gets him back to reality. Yeah, they gotta do something with him.
I don't know. I'm more concerned what they're gonna do with Christian Cage's patriarchy thing going forward whenever he comes back than I am what they're doing with Copeland right now, because Copeland's got the Cope open, so I'm not too worried about that. Plus, he's got Malachi Black on his heels as his first real feud of the TNT title, so, like, he's good for a little bit. I'm more worried about where they slot Christian in the patriarchy bag when he comes back. Or to make sense, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, you're just going to forget about the TNT title, or you're just going to say, fuck it, and you can come back and, like, attack, well, I guess Swerve. You can't attack any of the other titles right now. Well, yeah, I guess Swerve, but that would actually make sense with the All-In connection for the first one. Yeah. But I was thinking more like a lesser title, like an international or continental, but they're both held by heels, so.
And you're not moving that Continental title anytime soon.
That Continental title's not moving until after C2. Like, no joke. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure he's holding it until C2.
I wouldn't be surprised.
All right. Let's talk about... I mean, we don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but Jericho winning the FTW title, we called it. A lot of people were shocked. We're not, because we called it. Like, I tweeted out, I was like, if you're shocked that Jericho won this, you haven't been paying attention to the feud. It ain't got nothing to do with whether or not me and you want Jericho to win it. But it just made sense with the feud that they're doing.
I honestly forgot that we picked him, because I remember texting you. I was like, well, so aside from the Jericho one, did we get any wrong? And you were like, we both picked Jericho. I was like, oh, shit. I think I wanted him to lose so bad that I forgot that, we both predicted that he would actually win the match. The match, honestly, though, while I was watching it, it wasn't that bad. I mean, there were a couple of weird spots where it felt like Hook was afraid to lay stuff in. Like, he was doing some real soft, like, Hulk Hogan chair shot level trash can lid hits, and the apron lariat that hit fucking nothing. That was weird. So there were a couple, some of his punches too. It just felt like he was too worried about being stiff, so he just pulled back way too much. It almost felt like. So that was a little bit awkward, but they picked it back up at the end. Um, the match I thought was gonna be shit, and it ended up being like okay. So
Well,
whatever.
I don't think the issue has ever been can Jericho still go or not. Besides that
It was a little bit of
that
issue.
very brief time a few
Yeah.
years ago when he was fat and everybody was showing up the pictures or whatever, and he missed the lion salt, and then he got really in shape or whatever after that. I don't think ever since that point it's ever been like, oh, can Jericho go or whatever. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just because, obviously the crowd chants, they just tired of the bullshit ever since the Kylie Ray shit came out.
I mean, please retire is not a I don't like you for potentially being predatory chant, okay? That's a we're tired of seeing you chant. Um, and I even remember thinking they're probably gonna have um Jericho win or whatever, but when you have the crowd chanting, please retire in the middle of your match, do you call an audible on that and just say, look, fans don't want to see the shit, you gotta take some
No, I
time
don't
away?
call an audible on it because it's for a fucking title that is not technically recognized by AEW and has no bearing
That's
in the fucking company. So no.
It's not about the title. It's about the fact that now you have to continue telling this story
Who
that the
cares?
fans are clearly not if you let me fucking finish,
It's a title that no one cares about though.
that the fans are clearly not into the fucking story and they're tired of seeing him
Who
to the point
cares?
that they're chanting, "Please retire." Then yeah, you take that dude off of television.
No, you don't. You don't.
Yeah, you do.
You don't. You don't. You let him fucking sink or swim. Either he's gonna keep fucking sinking and then you take him off until it hits rock bottom, and then you don't have to worry about it, and you have a legit case of telling him why you're taking him off, or
He's
he
already
fucking
there.
bounces back because there was a lot of people that were thinking the same thing before the Max MJF fucking program, and then that fucking shit took off, and it was everything. Everybody loved that shit. So no, I don't think you take him off right now. I think it's
He's already at that
possible
point.
that if it keeps going that way, then yeah, sure. But I don't think that. I think that was just you can't tell me that that same crowd is going to be that vocal in Kansas or some shit. Like that was just fucking a hot crowd for a fucking pay-per-view that had a lot of shit on it, and that was clearly the weakest match on the card.
Go home Jericho and fucking please retire chants are not
Yeah, that's just people trying to
indicative
take over the
of
fucking show
people.
because that's what they do.
No,
Yes, it
because
is.
they didn't do it for any other fucking match. Who else did they chant?
What are
Please
you
retire
talking
at?
about? They definitely tried to take over the fucking Ospreay and Danielson match with their stupid
Who
chants.
else did they
Don't
chant?
start.
Please retire at.
Who gives a fuck? That's not what I said.
Okay, that's
That's
the
not
point.
what I said.
So it's not about taking over. It's like it's
It
literally
was
just,
trying to take
we
over the
don't like
fucking thing
this.
because the match wasn't even bad. It wasn't even a fucking reason to fucking chant that. It wasn't like it was shit.
Nobody said it was shit.
You're
I
chanting please
explicitly
retire
said
at
the
people that
opposite.
can't fucking go anymore. He can still go, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
It's a gimmick match. It's not that hard to go in a gimmick match.
Oh my god, whatever. Keep moving the goalposts.
There's no goalpost moved. I already said that the match wasn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be. The problem is nobody really wants to see his
It
story.
wasn't bad enough to
Nobody
be
wants
fucking
see his
chanting please
promos.
retire, so it
Nobody
doesn't
wants
matter.
to see him like drag down people anymore. It's just
He's not
he needs to
dragging
take about-
anyone down. Who's he dragging
is dragging
down?
down.
He's
Hook.
dragging Hook down, really, for the
Yeah.
FTW? No, Tony
Yes.
Khan's dragging down Hook by still having him have the fucking FTW title to begin with.
No. So he needs to take about 6 months off, let people miss him again, and then he can come back and do something.
No, that's
But people just
I
clearly do
strongly
not want to
disagree
see
with
him
that.
right now.
I strongly disagree
Okay,
with
that's
that.
fine. But people just don't want to see him right now. It's
I
very
don't
obvious
give a
people
fuck
don't
if
want
they
to
want to see him or not.
They're
That's not what it was.
As a
One-
wrestling company, yes, you give a fuck
No,
whether or not
you
people
don't.
want to
No,
see
you
the
don't.
people that you're booking.
No, you don't.
Yes.
No, you don't.
There's a difference between like he's playing such a good heel that I'm going to boo him and just please get this guy the fuck off my screen.
He is playing a good heel though.
He's not.
He's literally doing the fucking heel where he thinks people will love him and he's fucking raising his fucking hand every fucking 5 minutes. He's literally doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing.
The problem is that only works when people are actually like interested in seeing how it plays out. Nobody's interested in seeing how this plays out.
It doesn't matter if they're interested because they're going to see how it plays out.
It does matter again, and I'll say this again: when you're booking a fucking show that you want people to watch, and you bring the guy on the screen, and everybody fucking groans and talks about this as the piss break or whatever. Like you don't.
I don't
This
give
is
a
not something
fuck,
that you keep
dude.
booking.
That doesn't mean shit to me. That doesn't
Do you
really
understand
doesn't
how
mean anything.
ridiculous-
You
it
have
sounds so
fucking people that were talking
ridiculous.
about years that the fucking women's matches were fucking piss breaks and they weren't.
Yep.
That's
great.
their
So,
own personal thing. I don't care.
You sound ridiculous
No, I
when you
don't.
say that it's not the job of the people running the company to put on shit that people are actually interested in watching.
If he was
When you
doing, if
say-
he was putting on bad matches, that's different. If he's putting on
doesn't
good matches
matter.
and he's doing the character work that you want him to do, it doesn't matter what the fuck they chant, dude.
If his character work is not interesting or engaging and people don't want to see it, then yes, you take him off of television. You give him 6 months.
Whatever, dude.
let
I
people
promise you
miss
they're
him
not
and
taking him
bring
off
back on.
television, so it doesn't matter.
I'm telling you
So
what they should
your
do.
point is moot.
Because nobody wants to see this shit.
Okay, well they're going to.
Do you give a fuck where the story goes? Because I don't.
Yes.
I don't think anybody
because
does.
if it does lead to another stable, I want to see who the fuck's in the stable. I want to see who the fuck if they're gonna do something with like people from Ring of Honor or like people that we haven't seen yet before.
Jericho stable. Holy fuck!
I would like to see who's in it. Yes.
Jesus Christ! All right.
Why wouldn't I?
Next match. Nobody wants to see this shit.
Okay. Well, you literally just asked me and I said yes, so you're wrong.
You want to see another Jericho stable because the last 3 have been so fucking cool and engaging and interesting and gone.
The only one that wasn't good to me was Jericho Appreciation Society. Everything else was good. And then even the Jericho Appreciation Society had the really good storyline with Garcia. Now, I wish they would have pulled the Garcia trigger on him going to Bullet Club instead of Blackpool Combat Club, instead of him turning on fucking Danielson. I thought that was stupid. But other than that, that storyline was fucking interesting. Yes.
And the Callus stuff, you thought that was real engaging and interesting?
No, but that was after Jericho Appreciation Society.
Well, again, yes, it was after. That's right. So what I'm talking about is going.
But it wasn't a
backwards in
stable.
time
He wasn't in the stable, so it doesn't matter. I said the only stable that I didn't think was good was the Jericho Appreciation Society, and it still had its merits.
None of this shit is interesting. People don't want to see him anymore. I don't
know why you're fucking lying, because I'm literally telling you that I think it was interesting, so it doesn't matter.
People don't want to see him anymore. I don't know why you're pretending like you're not aware.
I'm not pretending shit.
You're on the same.
There's no reason to take him off of TV right now, unless that motherfucker goes in there and like shits the fucking bed. There's no reason to take him off TV.
You're on the same internet that I am. Being able to competently do a weapons match, being able to competently have a match, doesn't mean that people are interested in the story.
There's people that aren't competently able to have a match and they're still getting fucking TV time in wrestling. So
yeah, and if people want to see them, then that's great.
That's no.
But people don't want to see fucking Jericho. No. They just don't.
I disagree.
His storylines are not interesting. He drags down segments on live television, and people they don't want to see the shit. Yeah, you take him off TV for 6 months. That's what you do as a booker.
I don't think you do that.
Yeah.
Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, which we gave really high fucking confidence picks numbers to on this one. I gave it a 9. It was my second highest. And you gave it a 7. Was there any point in this match where you're like, oh, fuck, O'Reilly might actually win this? You weren't. No. None.
No. None. Not once. I never had a doubt. The way that the story's unfolded, it just would not have made sense to have him come back and immediately win. You have too many.
After seeing what happened at the end of the match, yes, I agree with that. But when Wardlow came in and then it didn't work, and Wardlow was just standing on the outside, and Wardlow looked like he was just going through the motions, by the way, which probably plays into the whole Adam Cole thing afterwards. But he didn't really like try to interfere. You get what I'm saying? Like he just came in, put his foot in the ring, and then the ref was like, "Nah, get the fuck down." He gets the fuck down, and then Roderick Strong doesn't win from it. That's the moment where I was like, "Oh fuck," because if Strong loses that match right there, obviously Cole's going to have something to say, because that was his quote-unquote one job, is to make sure that these 3 guys don't lose their titles within the kingdom.
Not only did he not do anything from it, but also it ended up with O'Reilly getting a fucking roll-up on Strong. So it didn't help it. It not only didn't help, but it actually hurt him. It put Roddy in a worse position. But Wardlow got in a car accident before the show. And I remember watching... I didn't know that when I was watching it, but I remember watching the spot where he comes out to do his little like interference or whatever. And I was like, dude, he's walking like real slow and like he doesn't give a shit about any of this. Like, what the fuck is going on with Wardlow? And now I don't know if that was he's like banged up from the car wreck, because he posted a picture of it. It looked pretty fucking bad. Like the whole driver's side was smashed up. I don't know if he was like banged up from the car wreck, so he was just like moving weird and moving slow, like kind of sore, whatever, or if that's just the story they're telling where he's like not really helping, so now they've got to fuck with him or something. I don't know. It was weird. It felt weird in the moment though.
All right, so the look that Adam Cole gives Wardlow, of course, twice. One when he got in the ring, and then one where it looked like everybody was getting out, and it kind of looked like if Wardlow was going to be the last one in there, he was going to super kick the fuck out of Wardlow. But Wardlow got out before one of the Kingdom members. But yeah, it was funny, though. I was like, oh, shit, what if he actually turns right here? It gave me the same vibes as the Willow match, where Statlander looked like everybody went fucking nuts because they thought Stat was going to turn on her when she was standing behind her.
Because she was standing there like she was doing a fucking Super Saiyan stance. That's why.
Yeah, she looked like she was about to charge up. Was on the other side, dude. The fans went nuts. I was like, oh, fuck. Is she really going to? And then she came in for the hug, and I was like, come on. I almost wanted to see it, not to be real with you. I wanted to see it. Her family was there, too. It would have been perfect to get a shit ton of heat out of the gate. Nah, that would have been great shit. But Do you still think that stat turns though?
I don't know.
You don't?
I don't know.
Even after the Trent stuff, when he whispered whatever the fuck he whispered into her ear?
Yeah, I don't think that turns her. I don't know.
If Chuck
We'll see.
turns too, do you think that helps her turn? Or do you
No.
think it just dissolves best friends, basically?
It just dissolves it. They've got enough
As
of
a
their own
stable,
thing going on.
I mean,
But like I said, I think the more interesting thing would be if she does turn and you do like a heel face tag team, or like a heel face stable with Stokely kind of playing the middleman. But nah, I mean there's no guarantee she's gonna turn. It depends on how they play out the Mercedes stuff. If they do like warm-up matches or some shit where you have Mercedes go against Statlander and beat her prior to the Willow match, I could see Statlander getting frustrated enough to turn or something, but we'll see. But nothing immediately, no. But back on the Cole Strong undisputed thing, I'm wondering how that plays into the inevitable Wardlow return, because there's no way that they move Forbidden Door to Long Island and don't have fucking MJF doing something.
when you
by
saw
the time
Cole
they have a
come
show in
out
Long
at the end of
Island.
that match, did you think your theory about MJF possibly screwing over Samoa Joe was more likely when you saw Adam Cole back and walking again?
Kind of, because it pushes up the timeline a little bit, but I already knew that he was walking because he walked on Kenny Omega's stream the other day. So as far as I know, he's still not even close to ready. So I don't know. But I think
this clearly is going to put Wardlow back on MJF's side though. Whenever they turn on him, yes.
Kind of, yeah, but you kind of feel bad for Wardlow at a certain point. Like, give the man some fucking direction on his own at some point. He had it for a little bit, and then but who knows? They could pair them back up. It doesn't seem like he really likes him, like in real life, because you watch some of these out of character interviews or whatever. He just, I don't know. He doesn't seem to like him.
If you want to play the really long game though, you could have MJF, because MJF's already had his long title run, right? So he doesn't really need the world title anytime soon. And you've got Swerve that just won it, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then obviously, I think Ospreay's taking it off of him at All In, which I think was always the plan and always made the most sense. But after that, like if you wanted to have MJF play up the whole, hey man, what I did to you happened to me, so now I know how it feels, so now I'm going to gas you up instead. I'm going to let you go in, you're going to go win the fucking world title, and I'm going to push you, and I'm going to step aside, and I'm going to fucking help you get there. And then whenever Wardlow gets there, then MJF can turn on him again and go back to the heel after being a face for a while. And then, like, at least Wardlow would have his moment, and you'd have even, like, more heat on MJF to be the biggest fucking heel of all time, after having this great face run after he comes back and faces the likes of Joe and the Kingdom and Cole. And so I feel like that would be a really good long game for that, where Wardlow doesn't get lost in the shuffle as well. Because at first everybody would be like, oh my God, Wardlow's just back to where he was, not realizing that he's actually in the MJF spot and MJF is in the Wardlow spot.
You do the Shawn Michaels Diesel bit with him?
Yeah, pretty much. Something like that.
Yeah, you could do that. That's definitely a lot better than him just going back to being like a fucking heater for MJF anyway.
Okay. Could even have him win tag titles together too while we wait for the whole Swerve and Ospreay runs with the title too. Like, so give them something to do, like feud with the Kingdom over the tag titles and shit like that.
It also makes sense just from the point of view of like everybody else fucked over MJF, but he actually did fuck over Wardlow. So if he's being realistic when he steps back and says, well, Cole tricked me and fucked me over, and Joe fucked me and tricked me and fucked me over and all that stuff, if he can't look at Wardlow and be like, and Wardlow had no reason to fuck me over. So I guess it would kind of make sense with the character arc, I guess. We'll see.
Let's talk about Okada and Pac.
Great match.
10 points from me, 9 points from you. So obviously we were very confident that Okada was going to win. So was the books, because you had to bet like $50 just to even get any kind of action on it to win a whole 13 cent or whatever the fuck it was. Okada ends up winning. Pac gets a standing ovation. Do you think that's alluding to anything? Like, it's because they were talking about Pac possibly never even fucking wrestling for AEW again, whether it was an injury or visa issues or whatever. So, like, do you think that had anything to do with, because he actually like soaked it in? It was not like he turned around and flipped him off because he's the bastard and all that shit. Like he actually took it all in. Do you think that is going to lead to like another Pac fucking vacation where we don't see him for a while, or what the
8
hell's
months
going on
off.
with this?
No, I just think it was. I didn't read that much into it. I just felt like he had a good match. He had a little bit of time in the ring between transitions. People were appreciative of his stuff, and he was like, "Okay, sick." Like people are seeing what I'm doing and appreciating it after I've been gone for a long time, and I'll soak that in for a second. I didn't read that much into it as like I have to retire or I'm fucking leaving wrestling or anything. You know what is crazy though is it doesn't seem like he had nearly as many visa issues when he was with WWE. I don't know what the fuck.
I can say that about all these guys. Why is it so hard for AEW to get these fucking visa issues
I don't
handled?
know.
In WWE, we don't ever hear anything about WWE stuff. They're definitely not missing chunks of time over there.
Maybe it's the difference between being like a publicly traded company and being a private company getting work visas or something. I don't know. I don't know
You know, everybody was talking about
the
beefing up their communications department and talent relations and shit. And beef up whoever the fuck needs to you get these visas under control.
who's in the visa department.
How many
with
times have
them?
we started and stopped fucking Yuka Sakazaki, bro? Like, come on. I've not seen her for years at a time at this point, and like she's one of the better Joshis that you have on the roster. So
And she just
the
got
only one
hurt
that I
again.
see that they like literally take care of constantly that hasn't really missed a beat was Sheeta. Everybody else has
Yeah.
been gone. So I don't know, man. But they gotta get something to figure that shit out. Because it's not just the Joshi wrestlers; it's the UK wrestlers. Like if they do that shit with Ospreay, we're fucked.
Well, Jay White doesn't seem to have any issues with it. I haven't heard of him having any problems, but I think
By
he
we, I
actually
don't
lives in
mean
Florida.
we. I don't work for the AEW, obviously. I just mean we as fans would be fucked because Ospreay's on a crazy run right now. So
I think Jay got married to an American, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I know he owns property in Florida now.
it'll be interesting to see if Alex Windsor, who is Ospreay's girl, also a wrestler, gets to come over and do some stuff too because she just released a thing that said she's available for bookings in the US or whatever for the foreseeable future, maybe even the rest of this year. I can't remember, but something like that, something to that effect. And everybody was like talking about how you better hurry up and get her because once you see how good she is, because apparently she's good. So I've never seen any of her matches, but they said like, yeah, she's really fucking good. And basically, as soon as you see her, somebody's gonna snatch her ass up, whether that be AEW, TNA, WWE. But I don't know if she actually wants to be over here full time either, because that was the whole thing with Ospreay. What he was saying, he flies back and forth between the US and the UK every week because that's where her and her kid live. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I saw one of her matches because it was going viral like last week, maybe the week before last. And I think he'd even retweeted clips of it or something. So I did watch that. It was pretty good. She's good. Um, I can't imagine she would come over and work for WWE though, when the whole point of the Osprey thing, like you were saying, was
Yeah,
seeing
not
her
now for
more.
sure. Definitely
Yeah.
not now.
So like if she comes over at all, it'll be to work for AEW or to keep working indies. So
All right, let's talk about this ladder match, dude.
it's a good match.
Yeah. I'm not gonna put it in my top 10 ladder matches of all time or anything, but it was good.
I think it was their second best match together.
I mean, it was okay. So as ladder matches go, though,
Yeah.
so you do think it's better than their all in match then?
Yeah.
Okay,
For sure.
I'm just making sure.
I wasn't
agree with
crazy
that.
with their all in match.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I didn't
Yeah.
hate it, but
Yeah.
I didn't hate
It
their.
felt
I
like
mean,
it
their
had
all in
too
match
much
was
to
solid,
live
but
up to.
that show was also stacked as fuck and long as shit. So yeah.
Well, they had to follow Osprey on this one, so I mean that wasn't any easier, right?
Correct.
So I mean,
Um,
I don't know. The stack card is really a good excuse. That's what I'm getting at. But I felt like their placement on the card actually made a lot of sense because if you don't have an intermission match, then to me the best thing to change pace after like a highly technical, like solid match like Danielson Osprey was, you have to have some gimmicky element to it to make a contrast between the two. So not just the fact that it was a ladder match and had a lot of weapons and stuff like that, but also it was 4 people instead of 2. You had interference, you had like different wind conditions, stuff like that. So I felt like this was a good time to put it in. And I also kind of liked that they didn't have anybody bleed in the Danielson Osprey match, because it would have been so easy, because Danielson still had that cut on his forehead from Saturday. But they didn't do that, and I felt like that was again to draw contrast with the match that was going to come right after it, because they had Dax get color pretty early. So as far as placement on the card, when they first came out afterwards, I was like, oh fuck, that's going to be tough to follow. But the more I thought about it, and the more the match went on, I was like, okay, no, that totally makes sense. That's a really good place to put that. So,
All right, let's talk about the obvious ending of it, which we called on the prediction show. Pretty much.
yeah,
I mean, we literally laid that all out there for you guys. And
I thought Shivani
Andy
sold that
mentioned
really
it in
well.
chat. Andy mentioned it in chat. Jack Perry returns. Yes, Jack Perry returns. I love the fact that the security came in and acted like it was a fan, because then people really didn't know. At first,
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Oh, that's Jack Perry," but then when the security immediately run in there and go stop them and put them in the corner,
They got
people
quiet.
didn't fucking know. They're like, "Oh, wait a minute, what the fuck?" So I thought that was a good touch.
Shivani sold it well too. It's like, oh, it's a fan.
Oh shit, yeah. So I mean, I thought that was a good touch.
The
But
Sting mask too.
then he takes it off and he's smiling.
Yeah.
Smiling like he could. Even if he was supposed to be serious, I think he was gonna be smiling, because it looked like he couldn't hold it in. Like he knew.
It's a shit-eating grin.
Yeah, basically, that's
Um,
exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And it was. And the pop he got was quite intense. Not as good as Windy City, but still insane.
I wish the only thing that I wasn't crazy about with it was I wish Dax, and it's not his fault. It was like the way that the ladder was and everything. But I wish Dax had taken a better bump off of it, because the bump that he took wasn't so severe that he couldn't have stopped them getting the titles down. It was like a kind of a little fall, and then he hits his elbow a little bit, and then kind of rolls out of the ring like he got fucking knocked unconscious. It was a little awkward, but I think most of the focus at that point in the match, especially with the cameras and everybody's attention, was on Jack and the security anyway. So it didn't make that big of a difference. But I was just kind of like, you have that whole fucking match, and then the little oopsie off the ladder where you bump your elbow a little bit is enough for you to lose the match. After the long delay in security accosting him, getting him out, and then having them climb the ladder. I think it was Nick who did it. Nick climbing the ladder, who was wearing the blackout 11s, I believe, by the way. I thought at first they were the prom nights, but no, I'm pretty sure after I saw that they weren't blue enough. So I'm pretty sure he was wearing the Air Jordan 11s, the blackouts. Look pretty cool. But yeah, and then throwing up the elite symbol at the end. That was a good touch too. So it's pretty obvious he's taking Hangman's place. But yeah, I had no complaints about this match. I thought we did lay it out exactly like it was going to happen. Jack Perry interference. Who was going to win? I thought that this all played out really well, and I like people will, when they talk about FTR, they're like, oh, they're like real grounded, like technical Arn and Tully types, whatever the fuck. But every match you see, man, Cash is doing aerial shit every time. Oh, there was one spot in the match where they were on opposite, not opposite corners, but there was like one corner, and Dax had, I believe it was Matt, and then it was Cash on the other ladder. And I thought for sure they were about to do a fucking shatter machine from the ladders, but they ended up just doing the power and glory thing, I think. So yeah, that was a good match though.
Okay, that was I gave that one. I was only confident in that 6, and then that was the one I put $20 on out of the 4 matches that I had to do, because that was the minimum. So the other 3 were all $10 bets, and that one was a 20. And I was like, ooh, I actually feel the least confident out of all these 4 matches. This one the most. I was like, I just need the Bucks to win. I was like, even if I lose the other ones, at least I'll feel good about that one, because I had to bet more money on that one. But it don't matter. Either if I would have lost any of the 4 matches on the betting, I would have lost money, because I wasn't getting anything. They were all the favorites or whatever. Speaking of favorites, one that I almost lost, Toni Storm, kept her title. Thankfully. Now, because I was trying to explain it to Robert while we're watching it. I'm like, dude, it makes no sense for her to lose this fucking match. When she kicked out of the Storm Zero, I was like, oh no, fuck me, we're screwed here. Because I really thought they're gonna give it to Thunder Rosa. But if you've been paying attention, and we said this on the show a few times, and I believe we said it on the prediction show, Tony Khan is pretty good at just following through with whatever his initial thing was and striking while the iron is hot and all that kind of shit. there's nothing hot about Thunder Rosa right now as far as her character and her overness right now that would warrant her getting the title over Toni Storm. There's also nothing that's in the plans that would make any sense storyline wise for Toni Storm to drop it to anyone else not named Jamie Hayter. Okay?
Right.
Jamie Hayter is the one that had to lose the fucking title in basically a squash match to Toni Storm. Okay? Jamie Hayter's the one that had to miss out at All In and not get the fucking title. Okay, when Saraya won it, because that was basically Jamie Hayter's spot. And then Toni Storm, of course, goes fucking insane and does this whole thing. And the character that she currently is right now, it would make no sense for her to go and lose the title based off of the entire point of her character. Okay? So the entire point of her character is to have that title. So when she drops it, she's going to either do two things. Either she gets slapped back down to normal reality and she'll be regular Toni Storm again, or she's even a more deranged version of this character because she's out of the limelight again. That is the spotlight to her. That makes her relevant. That makes her young. That makes her whatever. So, the last couple defenses of hers, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, it's time for her to drop the title." It has never been time for Toni Storm to drop this fucking title. Not once. So I'm glad that Tony Khan did not have Toni Storm drop this title to Thunder Rosa. It's not time. Let's see. I don't know how much longer Hayter has. There was a part of me that thought she was going to come back when they were walking up really slow to the fucking ramp. And I thought maybe her music was going to hit because that place would have went nuts. I don't really know how long she's out with her injury or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the other thought process that came to me was, even if she was ready, maybe they want to hold her off anyway because it's not even really close to All In too. And clearly you're going to want her to have that spot again. So you can't just have her come back and then wait all the way to August to get a fucking chance at Toni Storm either. So maybe you just wait, even if she is ready, you just wait a couple more months, and then you bring her back to go against Toni Storm and take it off of her at All In too.
There's being healed from the injury, and then there's rehabbing enough to have a match after the injury. So yeah, I mean, even if she's good, she's still got plenty of time to. She's probably not, because if you remember when she first showed up in AEW, she wasn't in the shape that she ended up being later. So it's entirely possible she might have to go through that process again because people that are prone to like putting on weight, stuff like that, it is easier for them to gain it back in time off or time where they're not able to work as hard. It wouldn't surprise me at all if during her rehab process she had put back on some weight and maybe lost a step a little bit. So giving her that extra time to come back in the same presentation that she left in.
That's why I was worried about when Rhea Ripley got hurt because of her injury is to her shoulder. And I'm like, so is she going to just work out this one arm? Because you know you're not going to stop her from going to the fucking gym. So now her one side is going to be way bigger than the other one because she can't do shit with the other arm. Like, I feel bad for her because I know she would want to work out just to keep her mind occupied and shit. Now she can only basically work out her fucking legs and one arm, possibly, if they let her work out at all.
Yeah. The Hater stuff, like obviously All In's a bit away, but I think you could start telling that story probably
4 months away. It's in August, I'm pretty sure again.
You could probably start telling that around Forbidden Door and give it through July build and then have the match in August.
Yeah, you have Tony win against whoever, probably like a triple threat with Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa, maybe a fatal 4-way, another person. Have her win.
You want to bring in a New Japan somebody?
No, that's for Forbidden Door. I said Double or Nothing. Double or Nothing is next.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You have the triple threat there or the fatal 4-way there. Have her escape with the title again. Then Forbidden Door, you have her go against a Stardom person because she was in Stardom anyway. Or maybe not even defend the title at all. Maybe have her and Mariah May team up against a Stardom tag team or something like that. You could do that too. It doesn't necessarily have to have the title on the line. You're just trying to do a Forbidden Door match, whereas the one company versus another company. So technically, she doesn't really have to defend the title there. It would be cool if she did, but she doesn't technically have to. And then, yes, I agree. Like maybe on Dynamite or right after or whatever. Or maybe even at Forbidden Door. Have Hater come out after the match or whatever and everybody go fucking nuts.
You could also do the Mariah May story next, because one of the reporters at the Scrum even brought up like, oh, Mariah May is getting pretty high in rankings. Like, what are you gonna do when she's next in line to challenge you or whatever? They could tell that story, have her beat down Mariah May, kind of put her in her place for now, and then
that would be a cool way to to debut the tag titles too. Tony Storm literally has Tony Khan make tag titles so that those two can go after it, so she can like distract Mariah May from going for her title. That would be awesome, dude. That would be like the way you present the bring the AEW Women's Tag Titles in there. That would be cool.
Also, just honorable mention for a couple of the bumps that Luther took in this fucking match. Man, he hit them stairs. He looked dead as fuck. Oh,
I know.
He
By the
let,
way, I do have one thing to say. The scrum about
Mm.
this, about Tony Storm's scrum. Like when she prepared the statement, I knew it was going to be great. That was hilarious, right? It always is. Why is it? I know she's in character, right?
yeah.
But why is it that these people can't ask her a regular ass fucking question? Why do they always ask her stupid fucking questions?
The first one was dumb.
All of them were dumb to me.
Well, the third one made sense. The Mariah May one.
Come on, they've already asked her that before though in a previous scrum.
Sure, but it's
Just
still relevant.
ask, dude. You can ask her. You can ask her a legit question, even if she's in character. It's okay to ask her a legit question. Maybe she'll break character a little bit and actually answer it or whatever. Or even if she answers it in character, that doesn't mean it's not a real answer either. Like I just don't. I think people are trying too hard to be part of the character that don't need to be a part of the character. Just ask her a regular ass fucking question, dude.
I feel like the Mariah May question was fine.
It would be fine if it was the first time it was asked, but it wasn't.
Yeah, but Mariah May has moved up since, and it's getting closer. I feel like is the reason you ask it
The
again.
answer is no different from what it was before. So it's no reason to answer. If
But
she was number 1 in the rankings, then yeah, sure, let's talk about it. But she's
the
4,
thing
dude.
is, she kind of always avoids the question. That's the point of asking it again.
I didn't like it. I thought it was a waste of a question. There's questions you could ask her, dude. The other thing is, I feel kind of bad about the Renee Paquette being added into that shit because she'll ask an opening question and then these people will go on a fucking rant. And then who knows how many questions they're taking away from people by, oh, damn, she just answered that question. Or he just answered that question. Then you have nothing. You're just sitting there like looking dumb as fuck because, hey, has anybody asked a question yet today? I really want to answer a question before I come out of here, Tony Khan. And you have nothing to ask because he's already answered everything. Or Willow's already answered everything. Or Osprey's already answered everything. You know, like those opening statements. I really don't understand why you need Renee there. Like she's a fake Comic-Con panelist or whatever. We were doing just fine with Tony Khan coming out there and starting off the thing.
No, actually no. The thing that you're saying is bad is actually good though, because it takes away some of these bullshit filler questions, lets them get all that out of the way first, and then you get like 3 or 4 real questions, and then you fucking move on.
Nah, I disagree.
I feel like that works.
I disagree
better.
with that because people could piggyback off that and maybe jog something else because Tony Khan has always been a guy that literally answers like 20 questions when you ask him one, stuff that you don't even care about, like with the NFL and his soccer teams and shit like that. So like, I'm not a fan of it. I'm just not a fan of it. It feels too forced for me. Like Renee's doing enough. I don't know how much you're paying her where you think that she needs to do this too. That you're not getting your money's worth out of her or something because like I feel like she's on TV a good amount. Like I don't think we need her in this position either. Or 2 rather. Like I'm cool with all their other positions. Don't get me wrong. I love Renee, but this one just seems way too forced to me. I don't like it.
I feel like it works to streamline the scrum, so I didn't hate it.
I don't feel like the strums are any faster.
I thought they were. It didn't seem like it took that long last night.
When they only had
It took
3
long to
people
get
come up there,
started.
sure. But that's not faster because if they would have had 5 people, 6 people up there like they usually have, then it would have been the same length.
I mean, it also
It's still
felt
the
like
same
we each
length
only
per
got-
person is what I'm saying. Like the average person how long they're up there, I feel like is the same length.
I think Swerve's was, but everybody else felt shorter.
Okay,
No,
by the way,
whatever.
if you're gonna have your world champion who just fucking finished the pay-per-view come on first, maybe let people know before. Like, why would you do that? Why am I waiting around 30 minutes for a fucking scrum to start? Go have fucking Tony Storm start the scrum or Willow start the scrum. We don't need Swerve to start it. The motherfucker's
Oh,
still
you
out
mean
there
'cause he's, like-
celebrating and shit. That's why it's taking so long to start the goddamn scrum.
Well, he didn't come in that much longer after Tony, so Tony probably wants to watch the end of the show and all that shit too. I mean, it's
After
not like Tony would
Tony,
be
what are
there
you talking about?
any sooner.
The scrum literally started with both of them.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. So Tony Khan would have finished at the same time as Swerve would have finished. But
Okay,
if you
well, if that's
have-
where you want to put Renee in at, that makes more sense to have her go fucking start the scrum then.
yeah, and then
Without
bring
Tony coming
in
up
later
there. You
while
can
he's-
have her
while
go
he's
start
watching
with
the show.
Willow or something like that. That'd be fine.
Yeah, could always do it like New Japan. Just have him give backstage interviews while the show's still going.
Yeah, and you can hear the shit in the back while
You
it's
can hear
going
it,
on.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about all right, let's talk about Osprey Danielson, and then we'll get to the main event to finish it
It's
out.
okay.
Osprey and Danielson,
It's all right.
oh, I'm slapped the fuck out of you, dude. It was all right.
It's all
It
right.
was all right. I agree with Mikey Ruckus. You can throw out the star ratings. It was 5 diamonds. I'm gonna start doing Lucky
It's all right.
Charms ratings.
It's all right. I just wish they would do better storytelling and like ring psychology and stop doing flippy stuff. And this indie shit is just it's so. Is that how we get views? Is that what we just?
That's how we get 10 or 100 times more views than Kevin
Yeah.
Sampoli.
Oh my fucking god, Jesus Christ! No, it was a really good match. Obviously, it was a really good match. I think if anybody finds,
what did you think of the match, Konami? Tell him.
I think if
Konami
anyone
loved it.
finds,
Konami loved it. He was knocked out by then, but he loved that match. I think were you knocked out that one? He was definitely knocked out during the main event.
There are a couple little nitpicky things. Like I hate the Oz cutter on the apron spot. It never looks like the person taking the Oz cutter gets it worse than Osprey does. So I kind of wish he would stop doing that. There's other moves you can do out there if you insist on doing an apron spot. But that's probably the only thing that really stood out to me as like, all right, whatever. And even that's just a preference thing. The whole match overall was like very well paced, really good spots, really good execution on everything. Everything felt really like the timing and the tightness and the like snugness of a lot of the knee strikes and the fucking Oz cutter into the knee strike thing looked so good on replay. Like he lands it safely, but clearly makes contact. Like shit like that was really good. Everybody's talking about the last spot of the match though, where he does the not the last spot, but where they're in opposite corners and Danielson is doing his yes shit and Osprey just runs up and nails him with a fucking hidden blade. I thought the earlier spot in the match where Danielson ducks that and then hits his knee, I feel like the way to do this spot this time would have been to have Osprey duck the knee and then hit the hidden blade. Because it calls back to the earlier spot in the match. Osprey's clearly picked up on the strategy or whatever. But this, it just looked like Danielson got fucking walloped because he was just running. I didn't like that one. But again, that's like super little nitpicky shit. Overall, the match was really, really good. I would not be surprised to see Dave give it like 6.5 or some shit. But
I'm like, I mean, it was a 5 for me. Obviously, this is the first time they've ever wrestled, so it's a 5 for me.
Yeah,
you know how I do those.
Yeah.
If they wrestle again and it ends up being better, then I can go 5.5, 5.25, whatever. It's clearly a 5 though.
I can't believe people were getting so fucking worked by the spot at the end.
Yeah, it's a Danielson thing at this point.
And not only is it a
literally
Danielson thing,
and also like if okay, so let's say they're getting worked by Osprey too. He did a great job at the scrum working them too. I feel like there's either two ways that comes out. Either he buries that move for like a year, we don't ever see it, and then he brings out in like a super personal feud or some shit, and everybody's like, "Oh fuck, that's the move that he said he was gonna retire," and he said, "Fuck this guy with it," or he literally turns heel with it on a Danielson or whatever, and be like,
Or
"Nah,
Danielson
fuck it,
does it
I'm
to
gonna do
him.
it again," type shit. Yeah.
No, Danielson does it to him to win their next match. That's how.
Oh, that'd be cool as fuck too. Yeah, but I do believe there will be another match. Honestly, the way that they all went down, and then the Osprey's scrum thing, I do believe that they're literally going to fucking wrestle again. I don't know if it'll be at Forbidden Door, but I could see it at Double or Nothing though. Easily back to back pay-per-views.
So the thing that I noticed, and the reason I immediately know it was fake, is he hits it perfect. Danielson clean on his fucking shoulders. Danielson starts selling his left shoulder first, but then later when he's down on the ground, he's selling his right shoulder. So in wrestling, you usually sell the left limb. It's how everybody just kind of remembers. And most people are right-handed, so you want your better arm to be stronger or whatever, your better leg to be stronger. So what you'll notice in wrestling a lot of time is if anybody's selling a limb, it's almost always going to be the left of whatever limb it is. So he starts selling his left shoulder immediately, and then hidden blade gets hit. He's laid out, whatever, post match, and he's over there like holding out his right shoulder. It was very obvious to me. It was bullshit. But he did a good job selling it for people that are dumb enough to believe Danielson's seizure selling at this point. But I saw it live against Okada. I am not fucking fooled. I know your game at this point. Okay, you're not tricking anybody. Also, they kept the camera on him way too long if it was like an actual
Not only
interview,
that,
so.
he walked out, and then Tony Khan said at the scrum that I believe Danielson's okay. Like, he didn't look mad at all when Ospreay was doing his whole spiel about, I'm going to retire the move, I'm sorry about it. Then Tony Khan's over there smiling and shit. Like, trust me, Danielson is fine. If Danielson had any kind of concern at all, I don't think Tony Khan would have even fucking been there because of how much he loves Danielson. Like, if it was a serious thing where Danielson was in the hospital, I fully believe that Tony Khan would have been there beside him or cutting the scrum short or something like that.
They filmed a backstage segment where Ospreay helps I always forget the fucking doctor's name.
Samson.
The ringside guy. Yeah. He's helping him walk Danielson to the back and lay him on a fucking table. And Danielson's, moaning and groaning and says, get the cameras out of here. Fucking cameras. So no, it is very clearly work. Come on, guys.
Andy in the chat says Ospreay versus Danielson match of the year. You agree with that so far on April 22nd, 2024?
It's hard for, and I said this to somebody earlier too. It's hard for me to judge that objectively because I was in person for Ospreay Takeshita. And I was watching this through the televised presentation of Danielson Ospreay. So it's hard to compare stuff like that. It's hard to compare being there in person. My knee-jerk reaction is to say that this was better, but I never watched back Revolution. So I actually don't know. I never went and watched the Revolution pay-per-view. Because with Forbidden Door, both times that I've been, I still at some point when I got back watched the actual show. I never did that for Revolution. Maybe I should go do that. Or at least for the Takeshita match, because I don't know how that came across on television, but in person it was fucking crazy. But my gut feeling is that this was better. Yeah, I'll say tentatively, yeah, it was probably better. But the other one that I would compare it to would probably be Takeshita Ospreay anyway. So it's not like there's gonna be huge differences between the two.
All right, let's go to the main event. And this main event we were not confident in at all. Ryan, this was his number 1. And this was my 2-pointer. So we were not confident. We did say on the show that Tony Khan has a good history while striking while the iron is hot. It felt like it was Swerve's time. Joe had a really good run, even though it was a shorter run, and that's what we wanted to see because not everybody needs to have a fucking 1.5-year reign.
He's gonna go film too, so it also makes sense.
Season 2 of Twisted Metal, which I'm very much looking forward to because I love season 1. I've watched it twice already, and I'll probably watch it again when season 2 comes out to catch it up on it or whatever. Okay, so anyway, so he had a decent amount of defenses. He had good matches. He had good promos. So his reign was good. Like his reign was solid. It didn't hurt the title. I don't know if people would say it elevated the title more than what MJF had it, but it sure the hell didn't hurt it. So it was definitely right there. Like it didn't hurt it. So now Swerve is the champion, first black champion in AEW history, and the 8th champion overall, or 8th different champion. I don't know if it's 8th champion because I know Moxley and Punk had it multiple times. So I would say I think it's just 8th champion. I don't know what reign, but 8th different champion. So you had Jericho, Moxley, Omega, Page, Punk, who was after Punk? Moxley again.
Moxley again.
I'm just trying to figure out the timeline of when MJF got it.
It was after Punk had to relinquish, right?
Yeah, it had to be, right? And then Joe. Forgetting somebody, though? I don't think I'm forgetting somebody.
Vacated Moxley, MJF, and then Joe.
Okay. So I was the 8th person then. Okay. So I wasn't forgetting somebody. So Swerve is the 8th different person to hold it. So that's pretty cool. And like I said from the beginning, like last year, I said that I think Swerve is going to be the one to take it off of Joe. And then at All In 3, I guess technically, because he does have the rights to All In 1 now. All In 3 this year, I do believe that Ospreay is going to be the one to take it off of Swerve. With another shorter but I think impactful reign as champion. and at least he won't lose it in 12 seconds to a Lesnar. It'll be an awesome match at All In that people are going to remember. I think it's going to be fucking sweet. So if that does happen that way, that's fine. And like I said on Twitter, just because Tony Khan's storytelling and match predictions are more predictable than a WWE one, that doesn't make it bad. There's no reason to get cute with shit and try to prove marks wrong just for the sake of proving them wrong and then having it hurt your overall product in the process. So having Swerve win last night, it made sense. And yeah, maybe it was predictable to a lot of other people, even though we weren't very confident in it. And then Ryan went 12-0 and I went 11-1 in this pay-per-view. But the pay-per-view was still probably my favorite pay-per-view of the year so far. Yeah. I said, how many good things did I say about Revolution? Like the best pay-per-view? And it was probably going to be number 1 at the end of the year. Well, I didn't know we were going to get this on Dynasty right after. Holy fuck. Like Dynasty from top to bottom was insane. Even the weak matches weren't bad matches, like we had mentioned earlier with the Jericho Hook, the trios unification match, the Trent match, even on, like if we're including 0 Hour too. I mean, like I feel like it's from top to bottom, from 0 Hour to the main event. I do believe that it was better than Revolution.
Like I said earlier, with just comparing the two matches, same thing for comparing the card. I never watched the Revolution pay-per-view.
Yeah, because you're there live. That's great.
So yeah,
oh, by the way, Ryan is going to go at Forbidden Door 3. I don't know if you said that earlier or not, but he will be heading to Forbidden Door 3. The streak continues. It'll be his 3rd Forbidden Door in Long Island.
So
you had Swerve Joe, Ospreay Danielson, the Bucks and FTR ladder match, and Okada Pac. And then Strong and O'Reilly, which I said on the prediction show, don't be shocked if that match steals the show. And it was close before the Ospreay-Danielson match came on. Yeah, before the Ospreay-Danielson match came on. It was up there, dude. Like, that match was fucking good. I was actually really nervous for Kyle O'Reilly because he was taking some fucking hits. For somebody that just got his fucking neck fused and couldn't feel his damn right arm. So,
and then we have the miracle of Cole walking again, so that was nice.
Yeah, we had a lot of miracles. And I know Willow's going to get lost in the shuffle because Swerve was the first world black champion, but to have Willow win her championship on that same card too is pretty fucking cool.
Well, I keep saying that, but isn't Nyla half black?
I mean, I didn't say Willow is the first black champion. I just said
no.
To
I'm
have
talking
it happen
about
at the same show was cool as fuck to me. Plus, because like.
Isn't the women's champion a women's world championship?
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, there you go.
We all know what we're talking about. We're talking about 50 years of no fucking black champions in WWE.
World Tag Team Championships, Scorpio Sky, just getting erased.
We're talking about, okay. We're talking about 50 years of no world singles black men's champions in WWE. 50 years of that shit.
Narrowing it down.
We're talking about the 8th champion overall for AEW.
When did Lashley win it?
20.
I know it's technically a different belt,
I'm
right?
not counting ECW, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I thought Kofi won it before him, though.
Kofi definitely won it before Big E, obviously, but
yeah.
I think
sure he won it before Lashley too, though.
Did he?
Well, when Kofi won, it was a big fucking deal. So yeah, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but I thought that was because it was. I thought it was because it was that belt, though. Like it was that belt that nobody had.
Yeah, the WWE one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if
Excuse me.
Did Lashley have the other one before that? I don't remember. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I think it's because it was that title. Because Booker T, he had the WCW, the big gold one too, when he had it in WWE. He never had the WWE title. The what?
Ron Simmons, didn't he have it too?
He had the WCW title. He never had the WWE title. That's the whole point.
Isn't that so? The lineage of that one.
It doesn't matter. You don't get to fucking piggyback off of some other company because they did it before you in '92 against Vader in WCW. That doesn't count for WWE.
I'm saying that's why Kofi's was a bigger deal because it was a different.
Yes, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying yes because fucking Bobby Lashley and Booker T won the big world title that fucking Ron Simmons won. Nobody won the WWE title.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's why it was
a
big fucking
deal. Yes. Okay.
So over 50 years worth of, because I'm not counting The Rock. No offense to The Rock, but I'm not like full on Kofi Kingston, fully black, African American or whatever, won the fucking title. That was a big deal, and the way in which he did it too where he came out of nowhere and he was just getting that swell of support after the Elimination Chamber. Where everybody was like going for him against Danielson or whatever in the Elimination Chamber, remember? Because it was supposed to be Ali's spot or whatever.
Mm.
And then Kofi Mania happens. Yeah, like it was organic, came out of nowhere. People were like, nah, fuck this, man. It's fucking Kofi's time type shit. Kind of like they did with Danielson before on a bigger and longer scale, but like hot shot at fucking Kofi to get the goddamn title at WrestleMania. That was insane. So yeah, it was a big fucking deal. Which is, I believe, is why he also shouted out Kofi in the scrum afterwards.
Yeah. And Ali's doing all right for himself too. So there you go.
All right, so we both agree that Swerve was the right call.
Yes.
Do you agree that Swerve is going to hold it until All In and drop it to Ospreay? Or do you think something else happens?
That seems like the most likely thing to do from here, because MJF doesn't really have any beef with Swerve, so if he comes back, there's not really anything there. You could have Hangman come back and try to vie for it, but I think having Hangman come back and take it off of him within 2 months is a weird
When
choice.
I was going through the, like, what the hell's going to happen on Dynamite, who is Swerve going to fight? Because if Joe's leaving to go film, you're not going to have Swerve versus Joe rematch at Double or Nothing, because they don't usually do rematches 2 straight pay-per-views, right? So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, the only thing that makes sense is Hangman versus Swerve again, but for the world title this time, because it would play into the whole, like, okay, so like, for instance, when you were talking about making the joke on our YouTube short that I grabbed from the show about Hangman's not been around, Hangman could enter himself, leaving him off was very smart, because now you can bring him back and it makes more sense because you gave him that little extra time to be away and be like, fucking Swerve can come out there and then Hangman's music. He's like, God damn it, I cannot get rid of this motherfucker. Like, he will not leave me the fuck alone.
Well,
so I think
Hangman also has a reason to be mad now too, because his whole thing was keeping Swerve from winning the belt, and now he's failed at that. So
yeah, so now the only way he can take it to hurt him the most is to take it off of him. So yes, so the first feud for Swerve makes more sense to me to be Hangman, and I can watch Hangman versus Swerve 8 pay-per-views in a row. I'll be fine. I don't give a fuck. They got really good chemistry. I love their matches. Also, it's one of the reasons why Swerve got to where he is, like Tony Khan said, because of that fucking crazy ass match that they had that put them both on the map or whatever. As far as like
the problem with doing that though is that when you're trying to set 2 guys up in this like long-term, lifelong fucking rivalry that you're trying to get them to have, right? You have to give it more time, like more spaces to breathe in the in-betweens. I don't think there's been that yet. So like,
I agree with you on that. I totally get what you're about to say, and I understand it. But you also got to remember that rivalries, they're in wrestling, especially modern day rivalries, I think they have more weight because they happen in a shorter amount of time, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Like for instance, like when Bret Hart and Austin had their rivalry, it was in a short amount of time because Bret Hart wasn't there much for much longer after that rivalry because he went to WCW or whatever. But everybody remembers that rivalry because they had a lot of shit going on in a short amount of time, and it made that rivalry really good. I prefer them to go ahead and do it now, because there's really nobody else out there who's gonna go after Swerve, where Swerve's gonna win his first defense too, where you want to make it believable that he might not win, if that makes sense.
Time to call up Jinder Mahal.
Anyway, fucking Jesus Christ. Anyway, fucking so I think Paige works in that way too. And then I'd rather see it now than, the pay-per-view before All In, and then Hangman wants to come back and try to do it. Like, you've let it breathe too much, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to see it then. I'd rather see it now when they fucking they still hate each other and it still makes sense. And Paige we've seen the shit that Paige did to stop him from winning in the triple threat match. So it's like, oh, maybe fucking Swerve's reign only lasts a month and pisses everybody off, shit like that. Like, that's an actual thought process, I believe. Like, I believe that the rivalry would make more sense if we're continuing it right now and then it ends. But what you're saying is, I understand too, because if Paige doesn't win that match, then what the fuck do you do with Paige? Because Paige is not winning.
Yeah.
So then what do you do?
I'm also thinking about in comparison to other modern day rivals like Owens and Zayn, right? The reason that their shit worked was because they had such long periods off from each other, but you knew that their careers were always going to be intertwined in that way. Or like Rollins and Reigns, like they didn't interact for a really long time. They came back, they had that one Royal Rumble match where Reigns lost by fucking DQ for just beating the shit out of him. And and then they kind of had more separation, and then he comes in and is an important part in the Cody stuff. Like, I feel like the story that they're trying to tell with Swerve and Hangman is that they have this like eternal bond that they don't really want, but they now have against their will, based on the ferocity of their rivalry or whatever. And I don't think it's breathed for long enough to run that back already.
The
I
only
think you
thing
gotta-
the only thing I don't like about your comparisons is the fact that the two examples that you used were guys that were friends for a long time outside the ring, whereas Swerve and Hangman are not friends. So that's why I liken it more to the Austin Bret Hart thing, more so than Rollins and Reigns or Sami Zayn and Owens or even Bret and Shawn for a while, because they were really good friends until the end. So that's why I would compare it more to that. Like, I'd be okay if Heyman comes in, he does his initial, hey, I'm going to try to get this fucking title off of you because that makes sense with the storyline that we've been telling. I failed, but now I'm going to try to do one last ditch effort to get that motherfucker off of you, and then let it breathe after that.
What about Hogan and Macho Man?
They were never friends, I don't think.
Right. Well, also neither were Swerve and Hangman. So,
No,
but
yeah, I
my
agree
point
with
is
that,
like, yeah. So they
They also had two
that.
pay-per-views a year back then.
That's true too. Yeah.
You had nothing else. You had to let it breathe. There was nothing else to do.
Yeah. But I was more thinking like at different points in the rivalry, you could see each person's side, kind of like where they were coming from or whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And then they had a lot of time in between, and then they come back in another company and have shit like, yeah, I don't know.
My biggest concern, even if you don't or if you do, it doesn't matter when you do it. It's going to happen before All In. So my biggest issue isn't the fact whether you do it or not. It's what do you do with Hangman after?
You
Because he's
send
not
him to go
winning.
pack up the Elite, fucking rebrand, beat up Perry.
Elite
Something
and
like
Perry
that.
tag team. What are you talking about? I mean, not Elite
Yeah.
and Perry. Paige and Perry tag team. My bad.
No, come on. No.
Come on, man. Paige and Perry tag
They
team.
fired him, bro.
By
He's
the
not-
way,
he's-
by the
Wait,
way,
they suspended him.
yeah, suspended him. They
Yeah.
didn't fire him from the Elite, so technically he's still part of the Elite.
Yeah.
The funny thing about the hate that Perry was getting is that a lot of people don't realize that Adam Page was pretty much in that same spot that Perry was in.
Yeah.
He was looked as the guy that wasn't ever going to make it. He was only there because of he was friends with the right people, and he was only solid in the ring, but nothing special and not great on the mic and all this other shit, right?
I mean, that was true at the time, though.
Yes, I agree. And it was true about Perry at the time, too. But I think, like we said on the show many times, that, hey, if he just finds something that clicks with him, because we knew the Jungle Boy thing wasn't going to work as a singles run. So once he started figuring out what the fuck he's going to do and be in his character,
he's a
like,
jungle
this could
man.
literally work. And it is working so far. So, yeah, I think that's weird. I think that would be another cool reason why you could put those two together in a tag team if you wanted to keep Paige in the Elite or whatever too, because it's like it's basically the same fucking thing that they both went through the same shit.
If you really wanted to do some weird shit, you could have Jack Perry be like, "Look, I've got some problems with these guys, Christian Cage, Nick Wayne, and Luchasaurus," and have the Elite go beat the shit out of them. Christian Cage try to save them. They don't have enough people. They still get beat up, and then that's where you throw in the Edge and Christian reunion thing, maybe, as sort of Elite versus Copeland, Christian, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. I don't know.
That would be
There's
a
stuff to do
terrible
there.
blood and guts match. That would be the worst blood and guts match.
You
But
know, you wouldn't do it as a blood
Copeland
and
and
guts. Come on.
Copeland and Christian though versus Paige and Perry would be cool as fuck.
Leading to the Bucks thing in tag team titles, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many different ways they can go with everything. We've said that before on the show many times. That's what's so great about AEW is that we've seen them do enough swerves where it's like, oh man, they can still do all this stuff and it would all kind of make sense and it all links together, which is what makes it so fun. And then you can also just go straight with the path that makes the most sense and least resistance, and it's still just as fucking good because it makes so much sense. So
And get 12-0 in predictions.
yeah, exactly. All right. So overall grades before we get out of here for AEW Dynasty.
What did I give WrestleMania?
WrestleMania, you gave it an A, I believe.
I think I gave it a B-. I'm pretty
No,
sure.
it wasn't a B minus. No, B plus probably. I think it was B plus actually. It was B plus because I didn't want to agree with you. It was B plus.
I don't think it was a plus.
Plus, it was a B
Was it a
plus.
plus?
I know for a fact now.
All right.
Yes,
Well,
it's a
then
B
I would
plus.
give this a B. Because WWE is always going to be the bigger, better show. They got more.
All right. The grade for this is the grade for the show is an A plus for me.
Yeah, I don't think it's deniable. It was a really, really solid show. The layout of everything made sense. All the matches were. The worst match on the card was still good. Like you can't say anything bad about this.
A plus. I appreciate it, Andy. We're glad that you liked well, not just our show, but the pay per view as well. I was gonna say the pay per view, but like, fuck it, you liked our show too. Thank you, I appreciate it, guy. But yeah, so I'll take my big $4.43 winnings from betting on AEW and go spend it on something real nice.
Get half of a Five Guys burger.
I didn't know what the fuck you're going with that. I thought you were about. You're going to like the New Japan stable or something, like half the Five Guys. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Not just Five Guys.
Not just Five Guys burger.
Just Five Guys burger.
But yeah, we both gave it an A plus. And I gave Revolution an A plus too. So like if I had to split hairs though, I do prefer it's gonna be hard. Okay, I prefer it's so hard to say that against the Sting thing too, because the Sting thing was so well done. But I do prefer this overall pay-per-view to Revolution. But it is splitting hairs. I might have to go watch them back to back, honestly. I legit might have to go watch those two shows back to back and come back on here and be like, okay, either I was wrong or I was right and Dynasty was better. But right now, I do believe AEW Dynasty is the pay-per-view of the year so far. If we had to stop and make the picks for our Monster Awards at the end of the year.
But when they have Moxley squash Ospreay at Forbidden Door 3,
anyway,
everybody's going to cry.
Definitely not going to happen. And also,
that is absolutely going to happen.
And also, don't listen to Ryan anyway, because this will be his third Forbidden Door in a row, and he always picks Forbidden Door to be the best show of the year because he was there.
And it always is, motherfucker.
No, okay.
Always
whatever.
is.
I picked All In last year. That's the best pay-per-view.
You are very sucked in by the hype of having a big crowd, I guess, but
what do you want to tell you?
I think if we're being realistic about the main event for All In,
it was a big crowd, but it wasn't like it came off that way on TV either because of the open stadium.
The tight and the very tight camera angle, yeah.
And they were spread out a lot too. If you looked at the crowd, it's probably hard to get sound in there because of how spread out the aisles and shit were from everybody.
That's what happens when Tony Khan buys all the tickets. These people, dude, they just make up some of the weirdest shit.
Yeah, it's the craziest shit, dude. Like you can dislike it without coming up with the dumbest shit to say. Like I don't care if you dislike if you dislike the company, whatever, man. But
shit, I bought 2 tickets for every show I've been to and only used 1 seat. So
hilarious.
I'm also Tony Khan.
If he's gonna buy all the tickets, I mean, just pass me one, Tony. Like what the fuck? What are we doing?
Give them out for free.
Don't let them all be empty out there because you're only one person. You got to fill those 80,000 seats that you bought.
Bro, the people that were talking shit in the YouTube chat on 0 Hour talking about all these empty seats on the side that the hard count. Mother, have you ever been to a fucking show? These lines are like 1,000,000 miles long, wrapped around multiple blocks.
They were already full by the time the third 0 Hour match started. If you looked at the seats that he was talking about, because I know what he's talking about, but they were all full as soon as the fucking trios match started. So
because normally the security at the place will be like, okay, how many are you expecting? And they know how long it takes to get in before like the event starts, and that's when they start opening doors early for however many people, blah blah blah. But they don't do that accounting for the pre-show. They do that math for starting at the time of the main show. So that's why
I will say that, people could get in their seats a little bit faster if we're not running around looking for merch because you barely have any merch at your fucking store or at your shows. You know what I'm saying? So like people are going in there and immediately going to the merch stuff instead of sitting down because they know that the merch is limited at AEW shows. Whereas in WWE, they don't have that problem because they make a mass amount of fucking merch. So I really do wish that they would fucking fix that, honestly.
It's a merchandise company.
Yeah, you're literally a t-shirt company. Like, what the fuck are we doing? How do you not have enough merch? It doesn't make any sense. How can you be a t-shirt company and not have enough merch? What the fuck are we doing? Yeah. All right, but anyway, that's gonna be the show. We both gave it A+. We'll see you guys on Sunday with a full episode of the MonsterCast. Enjoy your week.